This should be a decent enough hiding spot for now. I wish I could see that animal's face when she returns to the study only to find that I am nowhere to be. Must I continuously be denied any real time to myself in this God's forsaken castle? I know you are there, girl. Come out. As entertaining as it would be to hurt you, I have not come out here with any intention of doing so. Besides, if I had wanted to harm you, I'd already be clutching your meager little throat in my hand. Now, step out from behind the spider lily bush, girl. How did I know you were out here, or how did I know where you were hiding? Please, do not take me for one of your kind, little human. Although they are beautiful flowers, spider lilies have no fragrance. I caught your scent the moment the wind blew. As for where, I knew you were cowering. Do you not think that I know every single secret and hiding spot that this garden holds? I grew up here, after all. A better question is, what exactly are you doing out here? Are you not afraid that our mother will find you and will you into ashes? Ah, a clever one you are. Indeed. Sylas had to leave to attend to an emergency, some form of sudden locust infestation or other, and our mother, true to her unendingly nosy nature, decided to tag along to witness how her youngest conducts his business. Our sisters, Melissa and Melmira, have gone into town to explore the market and peruse the local cuisine. And Lilybet is currently sleeping the afternoon away, as she is always so wont to do after her late-night workouts. I am the only other Volgenheim in the castle right now, so for now, you are safe, little human, relatively speaking. I am assuming my brother saw fit to allow you to roam the grounds in Mother's absence? I should have known. What exactly do locusts have to do with Sylas's business? Ah, you do not know, do you? It would appear my brother does not share all with the one he holds so dear. Well, Sylas works in agriculture. He invests in land, arranges for farms to be built, and studies herbs and soil. He also assists in the development of crops and comes running should something happen to them, like a wandering swarm of locusts looking for their next feast. It's utter drawl, really. Yes, human farms. What on Eden would a vampire need a farm for? We only eat food for enjoyment and to keep up appearances. Now, enough of your incessant chatter. I intend to lie down and relax in the sun for a while. Maybe even take a nap if the mood strikes me. This garden is the only clean enough patch of nature to consider doing so. Yes, in the sun. Would you prefer I hang beneath a shaded tree by my fine leather boots like a bat? Although living in one's own home for months now, your knowledge of vampires is incredibly daft. Vampires do not shrivel up in the sun like dried dates, nor do we burst into flames as your pathetic priests and clergymen would have you believe. Oh yes, most vampires prefer the night, as our powers wax and wane with the cycles of the moon, and it is much easier to pass undetected under the cover of darkness. Plus, it is child's play to pick off unsuspecting humans at night. Your poor eyesight renders you practically blind in the dark. No, all that the sun does to us is stifle our abilities and slightly hamper vision. But make no mistake, little girl, that even in the brightest of sunlight, no human is a match for me or any other vampire. But enough of that. Go find some other poor soul to bother. You might even try putting on a uniform and helping some of those demi-human filths in the castle. I'm sure you're used to menial labor, what with your formal social status and all, logging village girl. Oh, Surprised? Yes, I know quite a bit about you. I research everything that I take a keen interest in. I know that you grew up in a small dung heap called Riverstead that lies nestled beside the Tonrain River, and that your village makes its trade through logging and the export of farm animals such as cows and pigs. I also know that Sylas worked his little power on all 210 inhabitants of your village, and that you no longer exist anymore. Not in their minds, anyway. I know that you have an intense love of animals to a fault, that you were quite fond of the herb garden you had begun growing in the plot behind your home, and that you have a fear of the dark, but that's nothing out of the ordinary for your kind. Now, I grow quite tired of your presence. Begone. Go away. I cannot help but notice, little human, that you still stand above me. Is it that you do indeed wish to die today? It would not be the first time I have bloodied this garden. Oh, I won't hurt you, will I? And what makes you say that, naive little human? Indeed. My brother and I have come to an agreement of sorts. I will not lay a finger on you as long as you are on these grounds, but that does not mean that I have to tolerate your presence. Don't you think that if I could go anywhere else, I would? All that I want is to not have to look at another checkbook today. My entire morning has been permeated with checkbooks, letters, and ledgers. It's absurd! And then, Mother has the gall to order my personal servant to make me complete them all before she returns? I swear to the principal gods, if I have to read one more bloody letter from another sniveling, whining, pathetic... I just want to have some peace and quiet while I allow my personal maid to attend to my financial paperwork. Besides, foxes are clever creatures. I'm sure she will manage. Now, shoo. Yes, as hard as it may be to believe, I really want you to leave. I had thought my repeated ordering of you to do so would have made that quite clear, honestly. I most certainly was not obsessed with you, girl. How could I take earnest interest in someone of your upbringing? Ugh, in any case, that was last week, and I only wanted you for your blood, and for the fact that it would have positively killed my brother to steal you away from him. But after smelling your blood, I cannot fathom why he is so taken by you. Have you ever heard the phrase, beauty is in the eye of the beholder? Well, the same holds true for blood. Vampires, just as you humans do, have different taste. Not just for blood, but for the blood dolls that it comes from as well. You just so happen to check all of the boxes on Sylas's list, I suppose, but I am quite a bit more refined than my baby brother. Even my maid has better smelling blood than you, in my opinion, and she's part animal. Look, if you insist on being a nuisance, you could at least sit down. The sight of you looming over me like some wretched monolith is giving me a migraine. Sit. What are you asking? I am not hiding from work. I do not hide from anything. I do not do anything that I do not want to do. Therefore, I am merely delegating the duties of balancing my checkbooks to my maid, Bunny. She is a fox. Christine is her given name. Bunny is just her nickname. Don't be disgusting. I chose it for her to belittle her, as bunnies are the primary prey of foxes in the wild. Toying with her amuses me. Even now, I can vaguely hear her heels scurrying around inside the castle, and the sound of her pleadings as she frantically looks for me pleases me. Why shouldn't I tease her? She is mine, after all. Little more than a toy for me to play with, although, unlike the rest of my playthings, I cannot simply throw her away if she breaks. You would not understand. Mother gave her to me when we were both very young. Happy? Thought it would teach me responsibility. I can do with her as I please, treat her as I would any of my maids, but under no circumstances can I allow her to die or come to serious, life-threatening harm. Or else, I would be cut off from our family's fortune. And so, she became my head servant, just as that wolf Krolien is Sylas's. Do not mistake my closeness towards her for fondness, girl. I keep her close to me to ensure she does not run off and get herself killed in some manner. She is so damnably clumsy, it is a wonder she hasn't tripped and skewered herself on one of her own knives already. Although it is quite funny to watch sometimes. Yes, knives, little human. You may already be well aware that indomitable beings such as vampires require no real guards. Therefore, we train our servants to protect and watch over us and our interest. Bunny may not look it, but beneath her uniform she carries at least 12 knives of varying sizes and functions at all times. I find the threat of self-evisceration has quite improved her posture, honestly. Oh yes, all of the Volgenheim servants carry weapons that they fight with. Why, in this castle alone there was a wolverine named Ramesses who works in the dining halls that uses a rather hefty halberd as his. A bit unwieldy for my taste, but I suppose that it suits him considering how large of a creature he is. Then, there was a white-tailed deer named Rosalie, who is assigned to the kitchen's gardens, which conceals a dagger beneath her uniform that is made entirely of a dark steel. I like a good dagger, and the fact that even the guard is sharpened just like the blade is an interesting idea, even if for an animal, I must admit. There is even a sheep that goes by the name Chamomile that attends to the baths, who uses a pair of spiked iron balls attached together by a long chain that she keeps wrapped around her waist, concealed beneath her apron. The thought of fighting against such a weapon in a room so confined as the baths, why, I'd say it would give any human who'd somehow found a way to sneak into the castle a very hard time. What? Surprised that I know so much about the servants? All I had to do was have my bunny review the castle blacksmith's recent smithing records, and voila. If I am to stay here a while, I'd at least like to know what the most recently inducted vermin are capable of. Yes, even your sweet little hound, Krolien, was trained to be a cold-blooded killer should the need arise. The personal servants of us Volgenheims are trained by Lilibet herself, always the hothead of the family. Sylas's Krolien uses a pair of steel-knuckled gloves, while Lilibet's Bologna wields an iron ball and chain. Mother's servant, a hare named Four, wears boots with steel toes and heels, and Melissa and Melmira share a servant named Reiner, a rather large ox that I dare say needs no weapon, if the beast even wields any at all. And of course, my bunny is trained in knife play, a matter that I saw to personally, and sometimes in her case, painfully. Oh, I did. But nothing life-threatening, of course. After all, she still lives and maintains all of her faculties in peak condition. Unless it is a ghost in there that is currently balancing my checkbooks. But where is the harm in a little torture here and there? After all, I must reprimand her and while away the time somehow. Another question? Quite a nosy human, aren't you? If my baby brother works in agriculture, then what do I do? Well, I invest in things, just as Mother does, but my investments are a tad different. I invest in people. I loan a little bit of money to those who can afford to pay me back, and a lot to those who can't. Then I cash in when the time comes to collect. Why wouldn't I do it? People are always in need of more money, aren't they? And with vices such as drinking, illegal gambling rings, and underground street fighting circuits on the rise, business is booming. And what do you think I do when they cannot pay me back? I use my Celine's inheritance, the special powers that were passed down to each of us by our mother and father, to make them. Well, obviously, if they do not have the money, then Hey, you know what? Instead of talking about my work, why don't we play a little game? I call it For Krolliens' Sanity. It is a rather fun game. I even play it with bunnies sometimes, and I'm sure being locked up in your little old room all these days whilst Mother is here has made you quite eager for some excitement. Well, it goes like this. We sit here in total silence, and when I leave, you may speak again. But only when I leave. Understand? Well, there are no losers. That's what makes this game so fun. Everybody wins. Okay, now begin silence in 3, 2, 1. I'm sorry. Is vomiting up more of your annoying inquiries your idea of being silent? What? What about our father? Well, of course Sylas doesn't know him. He left just after Sylas turned 1. There's no way he'd have any memory of him. You want to know what happened? Well, I don't know. I don't know that either. I don't know. I do not know, all right? I do not know why our father left us. I don't know where he went. I don't know if our mother knows anything about it. I don't even know if she even cares, all right? I barely got to spend any time with the man myself, so don't ask me. For once, I am just as clueless as the rest of my family. Do you want to know what my middle name is, human? I said, do you want to know what my middle name is? Our father gave us each middle names that pertain to phases of the moon in the old tongue. Melissa's middle name is Messis, for the harvest moon. Melmira is Venatories, for the hunter's moon. Lilibet is Dimidium, for the half moon. And Sylas is Sanguinem, for the blood moon. But do you know what my middle name is? Nova, for the new moon. Even though I was the firstborn son, our father saw fit to name me after the phase in which the bright side of the moon is facing away from Eden and is entirely invisible against the sun. Whereas my brother, my baby brother, was granted the name of the lunar phase in which the moon is at its zenith, the phase in which the sun is completely invisible behind the moon, the phase in which all pure-blood vampires and their Celine's inheritances, the powers passed down to us by the first vampires, are at their strongest. Now, why do you think he would do that? A man whom our mother claims loved all of his children equally. Why would he give his firstborn son such a disgraceful middle name, but gift his secondborn son such a powerful one? Yeah, well, neither do I, and I've had 3 centuries to wonder. In truth, I remember quite a bit about our father. His name was Siegfried. He was tall, with the fairest skin you'd ever seen. His long hair was snow white, and his golden eyes would twinkle at you when he smiled. He was the exact opposite of our mother. He was kind, gentle and soft-spoken, but he always had this air about him that commanded your respect. He was stern when he needed to be, and wasn't above giving me or my sisters a firm hand on the rear when we had misbehaved. He and Mother built this castle together over a millennium ago, the very castle whose garden we sit in now. Well, the man certainly had his secrets still. I don't know how he made a living for us, but there was always more than enough money to go around. So much so that he eventually claimed sovereignty over these woods and the nearby mountains. Regardless, he worked hard to provide us and our mother with happy, peaceful lives. Then one morning, I awoke and he was gone. Does it sound like I got to say goodbye, little human? No, I did not. He was just gone. No letter, no talk, no hint the night before. Nothing. The only one who knows anything about it is our mother, and even she knows not where he has gone. No one has seen or heard of a Siegfried Mond Volgenheim in almost 300 years. This necklace is all I have left of him, the only memento he left any of his children. Where did he go? I do not know, but all I have to say is that wherever he is, he better be dead. What does our mother think? Well, isn't that an excellent question? Mother hardly ever speaks of him except to tell us how great he was, and refuses to disclose the contents of the letter that he left for her the night he departed. That woman is an enigma. She birthed and raised me, and I hardly know anything about her. Well, I know that she was born in a small town far from here called Melis, almost 3,000 years ago, and that it doesn't appear on any modern maps, so either it was abandoned, or crime, disease, and natural disaster ravaged its inhabitants. I know that she met our father in the middle of autumn, and that before that, she traveled a lot. She had an older brother named Harkin that drowned when she was very young. Her favorite color is plum. She has a passion for chemistry, history, and archaic sciences, the likes of which she will not discuss with us, mind you. She's never ridden a horse. She has a long, thin scar that stretches across the back of her neck and ends above her left collarbone, which she hides beneath her hair, and she puts far too much blood in her tea. What doesn't she like? Well, I'm afraid that's a list far too long to cover in a single sitting. If you want to know more about our mother, then ask Sylas. He is her favorite, after all. I'm sure he's privy to more than I, even if by only a fraction. Human, I will ask you a question now that you will answer honestly for me. Why do you stay here? I mean, what is your motivation for not leaving? You obviously have the power to do so. Your room is only locked to keep out others, not to keep you in. You wear no shackles or chains. I sense no magic or binding marks on you, so why not just leave? You know that we capture and imprison your kind for blood, don't you? Well, sure, Sylas alters their memories and sets them loose before they are drained dry, but Lilibet shares no such sentiment, and has no problem killing her prey when she is done, as do the rest of us. It is clearly not because you feel some sort of kindredship here. As a lowly human, you are nothing like us. On top of that, you spend almost all day in either that room of yours or this garden, and clearly you are aware that if our mother would ever discover your existence, she would surely dispose of you without a second thought. I'm sure Sylas has told you of her utter disdain for humans. So why? Is it because the people of your village would not remember you, so you feel you have no place to go? You know that Sylas can simply undo his little memory tinkering, correct? Yes. His Celine's inheritance, veracity, is not the power to delete memories, but to alter or change them. Any memories of you that he's hidden deep down within them all can just as easily be undone, should he choose. But I'm sure that would defeat the whole point of protecting them now, wouldn't it, that pathetic softy? Well, of course he did it for you, in a sense. Sylas knew that given the stubborn nature of you creatures, your village would surely rally to find you the moment you were reported missing, and that, should they stumble upon the castle in their search, the staff would be forced to slaughter them on sight to maintain our secrecy. So, he changed their memories to spare their lives, to keep your family and friends safe in a state of blissful unawareness. My brother's always been too damned sentimental towards your kind. It's pitiful. What are you smiling for now? Stop it. Ugh, you are making me nauseous with that sappy look on your face. So that is why you stay then? You stay for Sylas? Really? You know that the man is still far from being a saint. It is clear from the bite scars on your neck that he feeds from you. Are you sure it isn't the posh life he provides you that makes you stay? The silk sheets, the finery, the gourmet food that persuades you from leaving? Or maybe you feel as though you owe him for saving your life, Ugh. Well, your prince in crimson armor won't be back for nearly a fortnight, so I'd prefer to enjoy not having to think about my brother's pretentious face in his absence. Besides, I find you've quite ruined the mood of this conversation. Forget I even asked. Why do I stay? Because Mother has gathered us all for a family meeting. Why else? Did not a single word I've said thus far about our mother penetrate that thick human skull of yours? How on Eden would I know what it is all about? All I know is that it must be pretty important for her to gather us all here. Well, we haven't been together like this in almost 60 years. Sylas and Lilibet inherited the castle from our mother. Melissa and Melmira prefer traveling to settling down in any one area, which explains why they only have one servant between the two of them. Nobody knows where Mother resides, as she's usually traveling to various places, attending to personal matters, but rumor has it that it is no quick jaunt from here, and I have a trio of villas that I frequent periodically. So, if the majority of us are so far away, why not just send a letter? Well, sure, a letter can be intercepted, but with the type of demi-humans that Mother employs as messengers, that's hardly a concern. If the speed of delivery was the case, then why not send the letter by hawk or raven instead? No, this time is different. Mother summons us all for a family meeting out of the blue, back at the castle. Then she wants to claim that the time is not yet right, and that she will tell us when we are to discuss the matter, instead of diving right into it. How imbecilic does she think we are? Mother says that she would rather take the time to enjoy being back home and catch up with all of her children, to see how we've been doing and what we've been up to, and that the arduous journey has tired her out. Yet, she is prepared to take an emergency business trip with her youngest son the moment something comes up, purely for the enjoyment of it. We aren't even permitted to leave the area without her express permission, and all she says is, "All in due time, my son," whenever I press her for answers. She even has the audacity to order around my personal servant in the meantime. No, there is something bigger going on. I know it. But until then, I will sit on my haunches in my lush old room like a good son until the time is right. I just wish there was more to do around this stone prison until then. Yes, I suppose the garden is nice. Many of the flowers cultivated in this garden cannot be found anywhere else on this continent, and were first planted when each of us were born. It has been quite some time since I've seen them all. Do you see that bushel of spider lilies you so laughably attempted to hide behind earlier? Those are my favorite of them all. No, human, they do not. But they are beautiful, aren't they? Does a flower have to smell in order to be beautiful? If so, then why don't we judge them solely off the quality of their aroma? What would be the point in cultivating all of their wondrous colors then? You recognize another of these flowers? white. And if you look closely, you will find there are in fact sections of the garden cultivated with entire patches of the rest of our family's favorite flowers. As you said, Sylas's bleeding hearts choke the pagoda. Close to the pond, there are yellow chrysanthemums for Lilibet. Surrounding the trees over there are blue and white pansies for Melissa. Melmira's purple wisteria trees dot the edge of the garden beyond the pond, and of course, Mother has her.
Krollien, you know that Christine's not good at hide and seek. Where are you?
Silly me. I had nearly forgotten why I had come out here to begin with. It certainly wasn't to while away my afternoon with some human. Well, girl, it appears that our time is at an end. I am not quite finished with my little game of hide-and-seek just yet.
Maybe Illsenia will be quite cross with Christine when she returns if she finds that the ledgers are still unfinished. Please come back.
I think this time I shall jump the wall, circle back around to the front of the castle, and help myself to some afternoon tea for a bit. Human, I was never here. Nor did we ever have this conversation, understand? And if you tell anyone about this, they'll be the last words you ever choke out of your pathetic human mouth. Am I Crystal? Good. Ta-ta.
Master Krollien, are you out here? Master Krollien, please come back. Bunny isn't good with big numbers. Master? Christine is just trying to help Master Krollien. Christine promises to better keep up on Master's paperwork for next time. If Master comes out, Christine promises to immediately begin preparing your favorite confection, opera cake with dark chocolate cherry ganache.